But that's the point that I wanted to just add on to the insurance thing. I live in Colorado, and while we heard that many of our ground zero, the people are worried about what happens when the sea levels rise, we don't know how much or how soon. I'm a little angry that we have subsidized federal flood insurance. People build a house, they get subsidized flood insurance, they get damaged, they get the money, they rebuild the house. I mean, we're wasting government money. And if we're going to do it, then at least we got to get to keep the land and tell them they can't build there anymore and turn it into a wetland and let it, like, but anyway. So, good terms to use. Next one. Okay, that's next one. What's the wrong one? Okay. We're good. Thanks. I'm obviously a different generation than my chair. So, Rob?
Just one small thing on the last point, to demonstrate responsible actions towards solving long-term problems. I like to draw the analogy between the energy imbalance and deficit spending, because deficit spending, is a long-term problem to a lot of conservatives, and an energy imbalance from putting out too much carbon is the same sort of long-term insidious problem.
I think this might go without saying, but conservatives hate the Clean Power Plan. One of the things that I really like to talk about, and I guess I'm trying to socialize this a little bit more, is that conservatives and elected members of Congress on the conservative side of the spectrum have an opportunity to just create a laundry list of the existing carbon policy in the United States and how it's failing us from a climate perspective and a fiscal perspective. Once we know what's at stake, once we know what the climate policy is today, we know what we're trying to replace. And that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get that laundry list done. How are we using the tax code in a way that's ineffective for climate and spending too much of our money? What are loan guarantees actually doing, and are they helpful? So asking for conservative leadership to identify failures is so much easier than to put forward a new solution. And I think it's a really great place to start some negotiations with the other side of the aisle.
So identify the failures. Yeah.
Climate change is too important to allow to be screwed up by the left.
It doesn't work with the left.
So Alex, my version of that?
One version of that, I think, is we have a carbon price in America. There are implicit carbon prices in every government program designed to promote clean energy or reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And when you break them out into the benefits versus the cost that we spend, you can go to a conservative politician and say, hey man, they're paying $10 per ton of carbon in California, and the federal government is paying between $440 and $4,400 per ton of carbon on the electric car credit. And the Washington State is paying $400 per ton of carbon on their RPS, and Kansas pays $26 per ton of carbon on their RPS. And like when you just look at the panoply of policies that we've got, a lot of them are less efficient than what you guys are out there promoting. I mean, all of them are less efficient than what you're out there promoting. So use that.
If you're interested in some information to back that up, on climateunplugged.com, which is the Niskanen Center Climate Policy website, we have a recent blog post from David Bailey, who was a senior executive at ExxonMobil for many years, and he looks at the Clean Power Plan and what it costs in terms of regulation versus perhaps a price. So if you'd like some data, we've got it there.
Can you repeat the website and the name?
Repeat the website once, slowly.
climateunplugged.com.
And what's the blog?
I don't know the title of the blog post, but it's one of the last 2 or 3, so it should come up. And it's by David Bailey.
I'm going to try my version of what you said, Alex, and see whether I get any applause. I've tried it with Republican congressmen. It was viewed by one of my fellow lobbyists, this was not a CCL meeting, but it was viewed by one of my fellow lobbyists as being entirely too partisan. So at that risk, I say this train is leaving the station. Do you want a Democrat or a Republican on the throttle? Okay, so we have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh, we have an anxious young lady over there.
I have a rave review of a resource for Alex's site that I want to share with my fellow progressives, and also a specific question. Thank you. I don't know if you're just being modest, Alex, but I want to tell everybody that in preparing for a meeting with my freshman Republican congressman, I was looking up Bob Inglis from last year, and I discovered Energy and Enterprise Initiative, and then I discovered Republican, and oh my gosh, you have to look at the video library that's there. If you just spend, an hour or two watching and reading some of the stuff at your site, you will start to think in terms of pro-growth, limited government. You got to do it. And I have a friend of mine who's a conservative friend of mine, libertarian, and I made the mistake of showing him these 2 other videos earlier on. We were talking about climate change. He wasn't persuaded, but I wish I had seen some of the material there first, because I think that he's gonna, it's speaking his language. So I'm excited about sharing that with him. And the message that we got last night. Republican.
Right there.
Republican.org.
That's right. Energy optimist, climate realist.
It's in the lower left-hand corner of this slide.
Please go there. And Bob Perkowitz was talking to us last night about, we follow our tribe. I feel like it's wonderful that Citizens Climate Lobby has a conservative caucus. Fantastic. I've been learning from the caucus for the 2 years that I've been part of it. But even more effective, don't you think, would be to tell my friend Vincent, to tell my freshman Republican congressman that there are these organizations by and for conservatives. I made up a sheet, thanks to the list that was at your site, with the logos of the organizations, with R Street and Citizens, EEI. I want to show this to people. Anyway, so, is that, I want to know, is that okay? Okay,
So,
and then,
Republican, R Street, and this Cannon are...
My really short specific question was just about our motto, which is building the political will for, and then I've seen livable world, I've seen stable climate. I'm just wondering, do you have like a allergic reaction to one of those, or is there one that
What's your name? Jennifer Green. I think if you check our website in a couple days, the newest part of our video library might be that. A lot of you guys had your hand up initially when we asked for conservatives. I'm not going to ask for it again, but I'm asking you to take out your cell phones. This is maybe easier than trying to remember the website. But if you're interested in connecting with us, seeing our resources, and actually what we really need more than anything is for your faces and your names to be on our website so that we can prove that the conservative constituency for climate change exists. That's what we're building. That's what Republic N is about. So if you all have your cell phones out, you're going to pull up a text message, like you're going to text to a number. I'm going to tell you a number to text to. The number that you're texting to is 66866. So 66866, and in the body of the message, just write the letters E-N and press send, and then it should be self-explanatory. You'll get a response then.
66866. And the message,
E-N. Just write E-N, the letters E-N. Oh, yeah.
And then what happens? Sell your soul.
And then you'll get an email that says, what's your email address? Or you'll get a text message that says, what's your email address? And then the other thing I wanted to say really quickly is is that I think CCL is like the most effective environmental organization in America.
So we have, I think, time for 2 questions right there.
Oh, good. Thank you for this, very valuable. I've been struggling to come up with a way to a Republican, we have a very Republican representative, how to frame carbon fee and dividend to them, and I would like your way to, because our ask is to ask for that, all right? And as soon as the rolls off my lips, I know they're just gonna, is there a way to present carbon fee and dividend in these terms to a Republican?
You know what, I've had the opportunity to do this more often than any of these folks. And I would say that I don't present it as the primary ask when we're dealing with a Republican who we know is not in favor of it. I propose it as a point of exploration. This is why we're here, this is what we're looking for. How do you feel about it? I think you want to open up the space for the conversation. To ask someone, when you're dealing with someone who's already said, I'm not interested, or I don't believe that, or I'm not engaged with it, to go ahead and say, well, would you sign this anyway? So,
Thank you.
yeah. I think, I'm sorry, we don't really have time. I want to honor the time that we've been given. So, last questions. We have 3 things I want to tell you. I want to remind you again about your Metro card. I want to ask you again to fill out the feedback form. I said 3 things, I mean 4. The third one is, we have only touched on these issues. I think that incorporating in the listening and just normal social engagement and recognizing that the person sitting opposite you is a living, breathing being just like you. Lastly, those of you who raised your hands and are Republicans or are real conservatives and are interested in joining the caucus, please come up and talk to Rob or me after this. And I say that way because what we have found is, unfortunately, if we have people who are not real conservatives or not real Republicans, but they're really interested in that conversation, but they're really progressives, it's a real problem. Thank you very much.